What's the other, who's Stratford and Somerville?
No, Somerville and Sumter.
Stratford maybe all. No, Stratford. I would say Stratford.
Somerville Sumter is a top 10 matchup in the state.
At Somerville.
No, Somerville.
All right, everybody, kicking off SoCon play this week on Saturday at Chattanooga, 6 p.m. kickoff. Talking about that, head football coach, Seattle Bulldogs, Coach Maurice Drayton.
Hello, good afternoon. Tell you, we would be remiss if we did not acknowledge those who gave their life, those who lost their life on when the cowardly acts, the heinous acts were committed against our great country. We just want to remember those on today, September 11th. I want to thank the Citadel faithful that came out this past weekend. We want to thank the supporters that came out in large numbers. I want to thank my classmates, the class of '98. Want to thank Delta Company. Want to thank my fraternity brothers that came out. Want to thank one of my high school classmates, Clifford Chapman. He and his Masonic Lodge of Moncks Corner purchased over 200 tickets and sponsored Low Country high school athletes to come to the game. They had a great tailgate with over 250 people that also came in the game. So that's always good. I know my athletic director appreciates that. Want to thank the whole city of Moncks Corner. It's too many people to name, but just I would be remiss if I didn't thank those individuals.
Looking back on the film, what did you see? What did you like? Where do you kind of need to make improvements, do you think?
Yes, so like we spoke about after the game, what I saw in real time is what I saw on film. We committed too many sins. And what do I mean by sins? Self-inflicted negatives. You can't do that against great teams and expect to win. Offensively, we had the ball on the ground twice. 2 penalties killed drives when we had momentum. On 4th and inches, we didn't convert. On defense, we had double-digit missed tackles. Granted, those guys are good, but we have to corral them and we have to be able to get them on the ground. We had a couple blown coverages. That can't happen against good teams. And defensively, the play speed, we were outmatched. And the way we help that is by training our eyes and trusting the process. Special teams, we fair caught a ball that was going to clearly go out of bounds. And if it goes out of bounds, we get the ball at the 35-yard line. Because every yard matters, every yard counts. So those are things that we can control and we can correct. So that will be an emphasis this week, as it's been in the past.
Positives.
Positives. Special teams, we had a pressure call and we forced a 15-yard shank. The punter got spooked when Coach Rainings devised a pressure, basically, where it allowed a man to come free, and the punter pulled the ball to his right, our left. The other positive is we played a lot of true freshmen. We played a lot of young guys. We played a lot of guys who doesn't have a lot of experience. And the best experience is out on the game field playing.
Coach, going back to offense, with a game like Saturday, when you get down 21-0, kind of with a snap of a finger, how tough is it to kind of give the offense that you want to kind of, I guess you had to throw it a lot, but I guess how tough was that to get down so early?
Because it was early, you don't necessarily have to remove from your offense and who you are, because it's a long time. When you look at the game of football and at the college level, if you receive the ball, you're going to have about 6 possessions. On opening kickoff, you have about 5 possessions. So in my mind, I was calculating our possessions that we would have and what we needed to do on each one of those possessions. So when the score was at halftime, we were getting the ball back, so I knew we would have a minimum of 6 possessions, and we had to score touchdowns on 4 of them just to have a shot, and they couldn't score at all. So that's the way I'm playing the game in my mind. It's chess, not checkers.
Is there a story behind the creepy eye on your shirt? Is there something to that, like motivational wise, or just what you took out of your drawer this morning?
Absolutely. One thing about, I love T-shirts, and I wore this T-shirt yesterday. So yes, Mom, I did wash my T-shirt for a reason. Don't blink. In the midst of adversity, don't blink. Keep your eyes open. Keep yourself focused. Sometimes it gets hard, but stay to the task.
Quarterback, who are we going to see there at Chattanooga?
You'll see both. Just like we talked about, that hasn't changed. This week of practice, we're looking for someone to separate themselves. Now, I do know this. I do believe this. If you say you have two quarterbacks, you really don't have any. Okay? But the good thing about it is both our young men are supporting each other. Both our young men are getting better. Both our young men, it's not divisive. So, yeah. As much as I want to say we're in a good situation, I'm ready for one of those guys to say, you know what, this is my job, we're moving forward.
Varney, will he still get some reps at quarterback, or I know he's a little bit at wide receiver, or what's his future?
Yeah, Varney is our Cordell Stewart / So he'll play quarterback, he'll play wideout, he'll play running back, he'll be on special teams. Our best athletes have to get on the field. He does have a skill set of speed, a skill set to run, and quite frankly, that's where we have been deficient. I think it's most glaring on film. So we got to get those guys who have those attributes on the field.
Coach, early assessment looking at Chattanooga, I know their defense is pretty good. What are you expecting from them kind of early? I know it's Monday.
Their defense is pretty good. Their defense is great. All right, Rusty Wright, the head coach. He's a defensive guy. He's coached defense his whole career. But let me tell you what's beautiful about Rusty. He played center on the offensive line at one time. He played tight end during the era of Terrell Owens. So he understands both sides of the ball. Their defensive coordinator has been like a mentor to me. He's like a brother. Lorenzo Ward, we call him Whammy. He cut his teeth years ago at the University of Alabama with our very own Ellis Johnson. So we've known him for years. And then their linebacker coach, who is their special teams coordinator, Mike Yeager, he's from the great state of Ohio. That's where he cut his teeth, not far from Canton, the Football Hall of Fame. So defensively, they are strong.
They got a really good defensive lineman. He's a preseason player of the year. Just talk about him a little bit.
Yeah, so in addition to talking about him, I want to make sure we understand the complexion of football today, right? Each week I've stood up here and I've given you some numbers, and I'm going to continue to do that each week. They have 39 transfers. 39. 27 from FBS schools and 13 from Power 5 schools. So they have a dynamic player. They have a dynamic roster. And when that first player goes out, that second player is just as good. So going back to it, their pass rusher, he's the real deal. We'll see him play on Sundays at some point. He has what we call hat speed. He gets off the ball quick. He has multiple pass rush moves, things of that nature. A guy that's fast, that quick, sometimes you don't run away from him, you run right at him.
Coach, I know you go back out of conference next week to SC State, but how imperative is it to get off to a good start with SoCon on Saturday?
Well, I tell the guys this each week. Hey, it's a big, big game this week. And I ask them why. Because it's the next one. So the only thing we're focused on is UT Chat. And then next week, we'll worry about next week and after that.
How do you get off to quicker starts in the game itself?
Well, it's a mindset, right? It's a mentality. So not only are we coaching the physical attributes, not only are we coaching the academic attributes, not only are we coaching the social attributes, but we're coaching the mentality as well. Give you an example. I drive a 2014 pickup truck, okay? My AC went out. My AC has been out since the middle of the summer. Just hadn't had time to get it fixed because we're trying to work for the Bulldogs. We're working for the Citadel. But my boss calls me sometimes, all right? Boosters call. There's recruiting calls to make. So I can't ride with my windows down. So I have to put my windows up. So I'm riding in a hot car, all right? But I'm conducting the business that needs to be conducted. Our pregame meal, The AC went out in the mess hall. No problem. It happens, right? But the guys were all up and on, oh, it's hot in here. It's uncomfortable. Instead of focusing on the nourishment that they needed to get ready for the game. So it's mentality. So these are the things that we have to continue to coach in addition to what people see on the field.
Obviously, you've brought up a couple weeks now in a row how many transfers the other schools have. Is it something that bothers you? It's something that upsets you just because it's so much tougher for you at the Citadel to deal with transfers in the structure that you have?
Absolutely not. It does not bother me. We're just providing information in how college football is changing. It doesn't bother me, not in the least. But it's important that our people know that, all right? I want to make sure we're always comparing apples to apples and oranges to oranges.
I guess looking at Saturday, kind of a battle of West Florence, the backfield, Cooper Wallace, obviously a Lynn Ford. What can you say about a Lynn Ford? Obviously, he's kind of a beast for the Mocs.
Yeah, so once again, another great player from the great state of South Carolina. That's why when we start our recruiting, we're starting in our home state. This past Saturday, we had a who's who, and I can't, because of NCAA reasons, get into who was here, but we're getting guys to come and watch games that didn't typically do that. Now, here's the caveat to that. They still come in these gates as freshmen, all right? And there's a process with freshmen to catch up with the speed of the game and things of that nature. So that's where it starts with us, in our home state. We don't want to let those guys get out of state.
But going off that, how tough of a challenge will it be to slow down a Lynn on Saturday?
It's definitely a challenge. And in addition to that, they had 2 receivers this past week to have over 100 yards. And then in week 1, they had a 3rd receiver who went over 100 yards. So whether we're stopping the run or stopping the pass, it's going to be a challenge.
Who are the freshmen that played, that would stand out to you that played really well?
Yes, Bradley Jones played. He played well. A freshman cornerback, true freshman. The brother of Bryceland Jones, hashtag 55. Send up some prayers for him. He's dealing with something right now. But Bradley Jones played very well. Priester, Justin Priester, as a true freshman in the secondary, came in and he had to get adjusted to the speed. Local talent, Nick McGill, played as a true freshman. So we're trying to get those guys reps now. So as we get into conference play, as the season moves on, we can try to get them adjusted to the speed of the game.
After the 2, losses here, how do you kind of keep things positive with the team? How do you keep them optimistic?
Yeah, well, we stay positive because we keep it fresh. It's the same messaging, right? But we have to keep the messaging fresh. So I think our guys are up for the challenge. This is the bottom line, right? Everything we want is still in front of us. Last time I checked, we're 0-0 in the Southern Conference. So everything we want's in front of us, and we're going to attack this week as such.
In your opening statement, you mentioned obviously Moncks Corner in your graduating class here. I'm sure there's other players, other former players, with Andre and Duran were on the sideline. I saw that you talked to them. Kind of how cool was it to have them on the sideline?
Absolutely. So I recruited the 2 players you just named, Andre Roberts and Duran Lawson. And one thing we do when we recruit human beings, they're not just our players anymore. They're family. So once I left these gates and they went upon their way, we've still communicated on a weekly basis. I mean, I've been to their homes, they've been to my home. So it turns into a family ship at that point. So, and that's what recruiting's about. And we'll always recruit that way. So to have them on the sidelines meant the world to me. We had several other teammates who were here as well. And it makes you feel good. And we allow them to impart their wisdom and their experiences. We allow them to pour into our team because it takes a group effort. At my press conference, when we first got our boots on the ground, we talked about everyone swimming in the same direction. We're talking about the business department as well as the PE department. We're talking about athletics. We're talking about the local community. We're talking about families, friends. All of us, it takes all of us to pull in the same direction to get this ship right.
Have you eaten at their Zaxby's?
Absolutely.
They're not trying to get you to buy in with the franchise.
Well, I'm big on analogies and stories, so I'll tell you a quick story. Andre's playing for the Jets. I'm in my first year with the Green Bay Packers. Mike McCarthy, I believe, had already been released. So Joe Philbin's leading the team, and we're fighting for our dear lives. And we're playing against the Jets, and I get Andre before the game because he just gets faster the older he gets. He just gets better. Like, Dre, not today. You can't do it today. And sure as we kicked off to him, he took one back to the house. I said, golly, I just got fired. He said, don't worry about it. You can run one of my Zaxby's. Matter of fact, I'll give you one.
Well, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Injuries, how are we on the injury?
Oh, we appreciate it.
Yes, Bryce Leonard
We do.
is the one that I talked about, 55. He has an injury. And then just it's normal football after that. We're going to be banged up. The best that they ever felt was going into the Georgia Southern game.
Right.
Each week, we got to patch our bodies together and get ready to rock and roll.
So we don't think that Bryce 55 is going to be there this week, or?
No, and it's going to be public knowledge. He's out.
Okay.
Andrew, you good?
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Mark.